Loud. Welcome, welcome everybody. Greg Peterson from Urban Farm Fruit Tree Program, and I'm here with Miss Janis. Hello, Janis.
Hello, Greg. Hello, everyone. I'm Janis. I am coming from Peoria, Arizona. I am the general manager of the Urban Farm program, including the fruit tree program, the permaculture program, and a bit more.
And a bit more. And I have to tell everybody, this is a funny story. Janis was a student of mine at Arizona State University back in what, 2013?
Something.
Something like that. So at least 10, 11, 12 years ago. And she kept bugging me for an internship.
I was.
And I kept saying, I don't have anything. I don't have, no, I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to deal with managing somebody. And it turned into this great partnership. And Janice manages a lot of the things that I don't like, and vice versa. And yay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
You do this stuff that I don't want to do, and I do the stuff you don't want to do, and together everything turns out magic.
perfect. You gotta love it. And thank you for
Yeah.
that, Miss Janice.
Oh, thank you too.
All righty. So we're going to jump into, there's a share button here somewhere. Yep, share.
You're doing the technology tonight.
Okay, we're going to jump into this. Okay, so tonight is planting, watering, and fertilizing. Extreme care for your fruit trees. So our first class was what you need to know before you buy your fruit trees. And that's just basic data on the things that you need to know to buy fruit trees and have them successfully produce fruit, primarily in the low desert, although all of what we talk about in that class is pertinent to everywhere.
We teach you how to know what you need to know wherever you may know.
Exactly. Class number 2 was 3 ways to kill your fruit trees. And again, that's primarily desert centric.
That
So
one is,
somebody
yeah.
from Tennessee, you'll learn something from it, and you'll learn something from tonight. But this is primarily for our fruit tree education program people in Phoenix who are then buying fruit trees from us. And tonight is planting, watering, and fertilizing. Of the 3 classes, this is the one to be in.
This is the most essential. And a, most of tonight's class is going to be useful no matter where you're planting your fruit tree.
Yeah.
It's not, there's a little bit here that'll be centric to our desert, but most of it is anywhere.
Yeah.
Are you not wanting to show your camera?
Oh no, we're good.
Okay.
Perfect, perfect. All right, planting, watering, and fertilizing. Extreme tree care for your fruit trees. And this happens to be a apple tree hedge that I had planted on the neighbor's property at my property in Phoenix, Arizona. So my yard is actually was actually on the other side of this fence. And I convinced him to let me plant a fruit tree hedge. This was in 2003 that I planted this hedge on the left. And this was in 2014. Nice, dense fence. In fact, we didn't really even need the fence anymore. And that's one of the things I love fruit trees for, is you can use them as fences.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Oh, there
With
we go.
harvesting on both sides.
Yep, there we go. So we're going to start by getting your trees planted. You want to pre-dig the hole. And who is this digging, Janice? Is this
That is Ray.
Ray? Okay, that's Ray digging a hole. You want a minimum, and I'll show you a square hole here in a minute. You want a minimum 2 foot by 2 foot by 1 foot deep for our bare root trees and citrus. Basically, what we're doing by doing this is we're loosening up the soil in the space, and we're going to add some other things to it. So just know your tree hole size is 2 foot by 2 foot by 1 foot. That is for basically 15-gallon trees. All
Yeah,
right.
the important thing is the depth of the hole should be about the size of either the root ball or the pot.
Mhm.
Because if you go too deep, your tree's going to sink.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so that's general guidelines. Next, you're going to do a perk test or a percolation test.
Oh, yes, you definitely need to do a perk test.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, what that means is you stick a hose in it and fill it up. And what happens if it drains in the next 12 hours, you're good to go. If it doesn't drain, what happens, Janice?
Well, if it doesn't drain actually in 4 hours or less, then if it drains really fast in like an hour or less, then what you have is a very sandy soil, and that's going to tell you what you need to know about how fast stuff's going to go through. If it drains between 4 and 10 hours, then you have a nice slow, medium slow soil, and that tells you that you've kind of got some loaminess and that you're going to be able to have the nutrients in the water right where you need them. If we're talking 12 hours or more, and I say more, which mean could be anything more, then what you have is a very slow draining soil, and you need to investigate as to how long it's going to take, because you might have something that's got no drainage at all, and that will cause problems where your trees will literally just drown.
Well, and that happened to you because
Yes, it did.
did a perk test and 24 hours later the hole was still full, right?
I had just planted literally 12 out of 13 trees, and we had one hole left. We were all exhausted. I was so proud of what we had done, and then it rained, and it came out, and I looked at it, and I realized that it was full, and I watched it, and I watched it, and it didn't drain, and it didn't drain. And 4 days later, after I had actually dug out all of the trees because I knew I had a problem, 4 days later, I still had water in my hole. So I had found the very obvious rule of planting was to observe, and I had not observed my soil.
Uh, right?
There's a whole
So,
story in that. It's online.
so if you run into that problem, just send Janice an email, janice@urbanfarm.org, and she will explain to you what to do. It doesn't happen that often, quite honestly, in the low desert. But if it does for you, then shoot Janice an email and she'll
Yeah,
give you all the instructions.
most drainage is going to be between 1 to 12 hours, and how you work around that is going to give you an answer on what you need to do. But if you have anything more than 12 and you have an emergency situation,
Email Janice.
email me if you got more than 12,
Uh,
definitely.
all right. Here is a basin that's a 6 foot diameter basin. This is my
That's the circle.
6 rule, 6 foot diameter basin. And it's 6 inches deep. It'll hold 6 inches of woody mulch. We're going to talk about that in a little while. And it's got a 1 foot deep by 2 foot by 2 foot hole in the center.
Now,
Now,
while you're looking at this,
mhm,
remember the words below grade. We're going to come back to that in a minute.
okay, you're going to have to remember that we come back to that.
We'll come back to that.
Um, so what happens by going with a square hole like this, if your soil is so dang hard
Yeah.
that roots can't get through it, if you put it in a cylinder hole, the tree actually can root bind itself in the hole. You had that happen, didn't you, Janice?
Yeah, I did. The house that I bought, the builders had a landscape company come through, and they just dug a nice deep hole with an auger. Just this machine came down, dug a hole, they plopped the tree in, and they planted it, and the tree grew in the hole and didn't grow outside of the hole. And therefore it basically choked itself.
Root bound, yeah. So
Yep.
when you go with a square hole like this, that is the possibility is a lot less. So just dig a square hole, 2 foot by 2 foot by 1 foot deep.
Yeah, because tree roots will tend to grow, forward. And if it hits a curve, it'll start going around the curve. But if it hits a corner, it doesn't come back at itself usually. It'll go into the curve, into the hole. So
Yeah, into the square edge. Yeah,
thank you.
cool. All right. Here's the importance of creating healthy soil. I covered this in depth last week, but here it is again.
Mhm.
This is your most important job as an urban farmer, urban fruit tree person. Five
If you're
is
growing, you need,
building
yeah.
building, growing healthy soil. The five components are dirt, organic matter, water, airspace, and everything that's alive in the soil. The good news is the fix for dirt or broken dirt is to add organic matter. And the life shows up and the water is able to get in and the roots can get through the airspace, and it's just add organic matter. And we talk about that in
That
nauseam.
is really a huge element of transitioning dead soil into live soil is adding organic material.
Yep.
And then to be able to plant your trees in it, then you're going to want to add fertilizer, but that's feeding the tree. This is creating the soil. There's the
Amen.
difference.
Yeah. All right. So what goes in your planting hole? This is what we suggest. You're going to take 40% of the native soil that you dug out of that hole and you're going to put it in a wheelbarrow, and you're going to put 60% Farmer Greg's planting mix. This is a product that Tank's Green Stuff down in Tucson makes up special for us for planting fruit trees. And so that's a 60-40 mix. On top of that, you are going to add, and this is our tree planting kit. Did I say that right, Janis? Tree
Starter
planting
amendment kit.
starter amendment kit. Thank you. Our starter amendment kit includes 2 ounces of mycorrhiza, 2 pounds of azomite, and 2 pounds of worm castings. Now, the mycorrhiza is soil life. The azomite is 72 micronutrients for your tree. And the worm castings has micronutrients and life in it. And you're going to mix all of that up in the wheelbarrow, along with 2 pounds of organic fertilizer. And we carry two. I got another slide on that here in a minute. We carry 2 varieties. Yes, Janis.
I want to talk a little bit about the 60-40 mix.
Okay.
When you dig a hole and you pull everything out and maybe put it on a tarp or something, you're going to take a little less than half of that. That's about 40% of what was there. And you're going to put that in your wheelbarrow. What was left, you can use that to help create the berm, or you can use that for some other area in your soil. I liked using it to help build the berm up as a base, an extra barrier at the top of my berm. What you have from the 60% is being replaced by the Farmer Greg's planting mix. That's going to make what your planting collection is.
Yeah, that's the organic matter.
Mm-hmm.
The Farmer Greg's planting mix is that organic matter we talked about in the last slide.
Exactly.
All right. You're up, Janis.
Now, when you are planting your trees, we have learned that the soil that we have is kind of sleepy and we need to wake it up sometimes. And so we have 2 solutions that you can use depending on whether or not you have a potted plant or you have a bare root tree. So if you have a potted plant, that would be all of the citrus and all of the potted items that we have in our program or anywhere else. We want to inoculate the soil in the hole itself before you put the tree in it. And what we're recommending is 3 caps of each of the High Creations liquids in 1 gallon of water. And it's going to be a really dense collection. And you're just going to splash that along the side of the hole. And then you're going to plant the tree according to the directions we already go through. And then you will pour the remaining solution in the tree basin before watering and adding the mulch.
And what do all these things do?
Well, each of them have their own purpose. The Noble Gills is a fertilizer that'll help boost, it has a high nitrogen content, so it'll help boost the leaves and the flowers. The Essence is a kelp emulsion that will help create strengthening and energy in the formation of the trunk and the branches. The Soul is a humic acid that will help the tree roots intake the nutrients from the 2 fertilizers on the ends. And the Heart is a fulvic acid that will go into the soil, and it inoculates the soil with lots of great information, basically, ingredients that helps boost the soil life. So it's a kick in the pants to the soil to help create this inoculant ring around the outside that is going to make your roots want to go out. So when I talk about liberally applying it on the sides, I mean liberally. Most of this needs to go along the sides of the hole, and then whatever's left can go in the top.
Nice. And we've found in the past 5 years that this is the secret sauce,
Mm-hmm.
which is foliar feeding and drench feeding and doing this when you plant, that has your trees thrive through the extreme heat that we've been experiencing the past 5 years in the low desert.
Yeah, there's a collection of tips, and if you use them and put them together, the more that you can do these different tips that we've been sharing, the better your tree is going to be prepared to survive our extreme weather.
Yeah. All right, ready?
Ready?
Okay.
Now, I did talk about how that was good for the potted plants. Now, bare root plants need something a little bit different.
Hold on.
Because
We need to tell people what bare root plants are. Some people may not
I
know
was
that.
just going to go there.
No, okay, good, go.
Go! Now, bare root trees are trees that are not in pots because they have been dug up straight from the ground and the soil has been removed. This only happens when they're in dormant stage, which is why citrus, it never happens to citrus because citrus doesn't go dormant. But deciduous trees do. They go to sleep over the winter, and with that, they get dug up while they're in this sleeping stage. So imagine going to bed in one house and waking up in another. It's kind of what's happening for our bare root trees. But because of being out of the ground for a while, we want to make sure that we kind of give them a boost, and we want to make sure we rehydrate those roots, because no matter what we do, because we store them at our nursery in a soil bed until you come pick them up. But when we pull them out of the soil bed and take them home, they're exposed for a little while, hopefully as little as possible, but
Right,
they're exposed for a little while. So what we want you to do is we want you to mix a mixture of 3 caps of essence and soil. Now, essence is the nutrient, the kelp emulsion that'll help with the roots and the shoots on that one. And the soil is going to help intake those nutrients. And you're going to mix these 2 solutions together in a tub with about 5 gallons of water. And this is a super diluted solution, and we want it to be diluted because we're putting the tree straight in this solution. And you're going to let it sit there 15, 30 minutes or so while you're doing the rest of your prep. You can do the digging if you need to. You can mix the soil and get the soil ready. And basically, you're letting it kind of just get a little spa while it's waiting for you.
nice.
Then you're going to follow up with planting the tree, making sure that the root is at the right level. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then you put the soil back in. Then when you're done putting the soil back in, as is with every bare root plant that you ever plant, and with your potted plants, you need to put some water or liquid on top of it to help get rid of the air pockets. That's when you go ahead and pour the 5 gallons that you have back on the tree. Now this wheelbarrow will work for probably about 2-3 trees. And
Nice.
there you go.
Perfect, perfect. So for those of you that have questions, and I see you have a question, Jack, we'll get to it. Um, it's better. We have a tendency not to miss them if you put them in the Q&A.
We'll
If you're
come back to them at the
listening,
end.
if you're listening to this on the replay, you can always send us an email at fruittree@urbanfarm.org.
You
And
can also join us on our monthly tree chats.
and you can at fruittreechat.org, I think, is the URL for that.
You would do that to me in the middle of the class.
I'm hoping, I'm pretty sure that's it. All
You
right.
can, you can find it on our
So,
calendar.
so you have your hole dug. You know what goes in the hole.
You've planted your trees.
You've planted your trees. Now it's the 6-6 rule. This is my 6-6 rule. 6 inches of woody mulch, at least 6 inches of woody mulch, 6-foot diameter basin around the tree filled with woody mulch. So that was the circle and the square that you saw. The circle was
Hmm.
the basin. And what happens at the interface between the dirt and the woody mulch, very quickly it starts building into this amazing healthy soil. That apricot tree in the front yard
Absolutely.
of the urban farm in the basin, Janice,
Yeah.
it was amazing to me after just a couple of years how many feeder roots were coming up into the woody mulch.
I
Thousands and thousands
know.
of them.
I know.
So
And that's so cool because it's coming to get the nutrients.
yeah. So this is also this Greg six rule is also the way to the first step in keeping your soil cooler.
Hmm.
And I'm going to talk. I have a whole slide about that here in a little while. But 6 inches deep, 6 foot diameter basin filled with woody mulch. For a deeper dive, watch last week's class. All
And at
right.
this point, you should be watering. After you put your mulch down, you need to water deeply because that's what's going to make sure that the water goes down into and help make sure that those pockets get taken care of, those air
Yeah.
pockets.
Yeah. Oh, and these guys actually did an 8 foot diameter basin. They sent me this picture. This is a dwarf bonanza peach, by the way. And they sent me this picture and they said, "What's this tree growing up on the right?" That tree growing up, that tree growing up on the right is the peach rootstock, and it needs
Rootstock.
to be removed.
That would be Nemagard, and you don't want that.
Right. Actually, it's not Nemagard, it's the dwarfing rootstock,
Oh, that's
and I
right.
don't I don't know exactly what it is. Um, and we talk about that in further classes. If you ever have something like this, snap a picture like these people did and send it to me and say, Greg, what's going on here? And we'll help. That's what we're here for. All right. For long-term success, grow your soil like a forest. This is a handful of woody mulch and leaves from one of the trees that I planted at the urban farm about 10 years ago. And that white stuff, by the way, if you have mushrooms coming up in your yard, you're doing something right. That is really good if you have mushrooms popping up because the mulch is breaking down and the mushrooms are breaking it down and making healthy forest soil for around your fruit trees. All right. So now planting your fruit tree at the correct depth. So we're still in the planting part of this thing. Most fruit trees these days are grafted. They've been doing it for hundreds of years. Grafting is no problem. Basically, what they do is they take a branch from a gala apple tree. They know it's a gala apple tree. They take a branch off and they attach it to a rootstock in the form of a graft union. And what you want to do is plant to the root flare. So you're going to plant your tree in a mound in the middle. It's going to sit up a little higher. You're going to have a basin around it so you can put woody mulch in, but you do not want the woody mulch the dirt any higher than this. And if this is sitting up on a mound like this, the woody mulch could come up to here. So if you're going to have 6 inches of woody mulch in your basin, your tree has to be 6 inches above grade. Otherwise, the woody mulch is going to get against the trunk. So you plant the tree on a mound. You're going to see another picture on this here in a minute. Plant the tree on a mound in the middle and put woody mulch around it. Yes, Janice?
Nope, you're good.
Okay,
So
cool.
basically, the goal of that is that you want the 6 inches deep of the mulch, but the tree itself, right at those roots, that only needs an inch or so.
Yeah. All right. Oh, here it is right here.
There we go. Above grade, at grade.
Yes.
Okay, I
So,
said below, but it's at grade.
okay. So if you're planting in a gravel yard, you can rake back the gravel. You can see on the top picture, we just raked back the gravel and that formed the edge of our basin. Or you can use bricks like it is on the right side. And you want to put the tree, actually the root flare could have been up a little higher on this one. But the graft union is way above the
So
soil and mulch.
basically in this one, you built the moat, you built the basin. So if you're not going to dig the 6 inches, the 6 feet, if you just want to dig the hole, then you can build the basin by taking that extra dirt and building yourself a berm around the hole. The one on the bottom, you're digging the basin as well.
Yeah, digging down. Perfect. Any questions about that, kids? All right.
Well, in both of those, you
Anonymous.
can see over by the tree, there's very little mulch right next to the tree on top of the roots.
Yep, exactly. So Anonymous wants to know how far should the mulch be away from the trunk? 6 to 8 inches. You definitely, Laura says, I have heard to keep the mulch away from the trunk. That is absolutely correct. You do not want to pile the mulch up against the trunk. Like this. You can see actually, so this is the woody mulch, Greg's 6-6 rule. This is dirt. You can see this area is dirt right here. So that indicates to me that the root flare is just right there, and there's the graft union right there. You do not want to bury the graft union. At least once or twice a season, somebody sends me
I
a
know.
picture with a tree that's dying, and that graft union has been buried underground. You do not want to do that.
You can always tell that's somebody who hasn't taken our class.
You're right. Yeah. All right. And then you're going to want to shade the tree. Shading the tree starts with three things that you wouldn't necessarily think is shade. First one is mulch. We just talked about that. The 6-6 rule. 6 inches of woody mulch, 6-foot diameter basin around the tree. That is going to insulate the roots of the tree from the heat and keep the soil around the tree in the basin cooler. But number
And
two,
that's important. So that's what we're trying to create is a cooler zone for the roots of our tree. Because nothing likes to live in this hot, hot desert and this hot, hot soil.
right, exactly. I have a shocking slide that I'm going to share with you in a little while.
I know.
Number two, ground cover. Cowpeas, which we give away every year at the fruit tree program, and sweet potatoes. You're going to plant those in the basin around the tree. You have to be cognizant that neither of those climb up and take over the tree because they grow that aggressively. But cowpeas and sweet potatoes, and this is just sweet potatoes you buy in the grocery store, they will keep the ground temperature 50 to 60 degrees cooler in the summertime.
They'll
That's,
keep your yard cooler too.
yep,
Your yard will be remarkably cooler if you have a good green ground cover underneath your trees. And you can plant both cowpea and sweet potatoes. I've had them both in my yard
yes,
at the same time.
yep.
And they don't come up at the same time. So normally one will come up. The sweet potatoes will come up and then the cowpeas later.
Um,
And
okay,
Angie says, does the
I,
ground cover protect the tree from a freeze? The deciduous trees are not harmed by a freeze. The citrus trees will need something else because if we really truly are affecting a freeze in our area, then you're going to want to protect the leaves.
right. So, Angie, we're talking about low desert. Any freezes that we get might tinge the edge of a citrus, but in the 40 plus years that I grew citrus trees in Phoenix, Arizona, I never had a problem with it.
Well, for our young trees, Greg had a lot of older trees because he planted them so long ago. But for our young trees, you might consider protecting them a little bit. And the way you do that is you give a good watering before the freeze.
Yeah. There you go.
Let's go on to this. Protect your trunk.
Yeah. So now we're shading the soil and the tree, but we haven't put up any shade over it yet. Number three way to protect your tree is protect it with IV Organics paste. By the way, here's an IV Organics paste. Oh, we both have it. Gotta love it. This is a fertilizer paste that you paint right on the trunk of the tree, And
This is a sunburn and insect repellent paste. It's not a
yeah,
fertilizer paste.
okay. And, um, or wrap the tree with a tree wrap
Mhm.
to protect the trunk of the tree. We've transitioned in the past 3 or 4 years from a tree wrap to this paint. Well, it's not really a paint, to
It's a
this
paste.
paste, to this tree paste.
And I'll talk more about this in the supply class.
Perfect.
Now, we also have a whitewash. I will be applying the whitewash, which is a very thin foliar covering for our citrus trees. It's kind of like just a very light sun protection on the leaves. It does not replace this. This is an option that you can choose your own color.
So there you go. All right, now notice we still haven't put up shade over the trees. So number one, number two, and number three ways to shade your trees doesn't have to do with shading the trees. Take note of that. That's important. I would say number one, two, and three is going to manage 80 to 90% of the situations with trees. It's going to keep it cool enough. The ground cover is going to keep it cool enough that it just doesn't need any more shade. If you need more shade, plant your fruit trees on the east side of shade trees.
Whatever. Of
Or,
whatever.
or if you need to, pay for shade, put up some kind of shade structure.
Yeah.
But don't do what Greg did. About
I
15,
remember that.
about 10 years ago, I put up 4 stakes. I built a shade tent over my tree on all 4 sides in the top, and I killed the tree because inside that shade tent in the summertime, it got so hot, it just cooked the tree. So when you're paying for shade, you want to put up shade on the west side and on the top only so that the other 3 sides can breathe.
Yeah, and you could try just having little holes to vent, but our heat just keeps coming and it's so long and it's so intense that it will be trapped in those enclosed tents. So if you let someplace where the heat can escape, then your tree will be not baked.
Easier, yeah, just put up shade on the west and on the top.
Exactly.
That's
And
going to
that's what we're
fix it.
doing.
Yeah. All right, my watering methodology, and we got to get moving here, Janice.
Okay.
You're going to plant your citrus in September, October. In fact, citrus will be here the last weekend of
September.
September and the first weekend of October. So if
It'll be pickup days for 2025 are the last Saturday, Sunday in September and the first Friday, Saturday in October. That's it.
all right, and your deciduous trees will come in January. Most of them are bare root. You're
Now,
gonna
what do we do with the watering?
you're gonna water once per month. Well, for your citrus, you're going to water twice per month until November 1st, and then you water them, deep water them once a month. This is assuming you're putting in the basin around the tree, the woody mulch, the whole 9 yards. And quite honestly, if you're not going to do that, don't bother planting trees because the heat is so severe these days that it needs it. So 6-6 rule always. And once April 15th rolls around, you're going to start watering every 10 days to 2 weeks, a good deep water. Yes, it works. I planted my first fruit trees in north central Phoenix in 1975. We had flood irrigation. It came once a month in the winter, twice a month in the summer, and the trees thrived. When I bought my first house in 1989, it had flood irrigation. And guess what? Once a month in the winter, twice a month in the summer, and the trees thrived. If you're planting per our directions, this should work. There is a huge caveat the first year, though. You need to watch your trees, especially the first year. If you plant them and start watching them at 7 days, if they're wilting a little bit, then you know you need to water them. Because what happens is people will water their trees every 2, 3, 4 days.
No.
Yeah, exactly. And the tree can't dry out in between. And then after a few months, that tree starts wilting. And people think, oh my gosh, my tree's not getting enough water. They water it more, it wilts more, they water it more, it wilts more. Basically, you're overwatering the tree to death. I promise, I've been through this. Been growing fruit trees in the valley for almost 50 years. This methodology works. So after 7 to 10 days, watch the tree. If it starts drooping a little bit, give it a little bit of water. But once it's established, once you put your basin around the tree, the 6-foot diameter basin, 6 inches of woody mulch, which you're going to re-up the woody mulch every year in the basin, because every year it breaks down and it makes more healthy soil. And if you're doing that, if you're planting the ground cover, if you're using IV organics, every 10 to 14 days is going to be perfect for your fruit trees in the summertime. I promise. Is that good enough point, Janis?
That's a good enough point.
Exclamation point.
We'll talk about watering a little bit in a different class, a little bit
Yeah.
more.
All right. Okay, how much do you water? I can't tell you how much you water. Get yourself a moisture meter. This is what a moisture meter looks like, and a soil probe. By
And
the
that
way,
goes down about 6 inches into the soil.
yep. And it'll tell you dry, moist, wet.
Now,
And
can
go
I tell the
ahead.
difference between the two?
Mm-hmm.
A moisture meter goes down about 6 inches, and that's where this water has receded down far enough it starts to show that it's dry. Below that can still be moist, but what we're looking for is that air space is happening at the top, and then by using this meter to get it not dry, just above dry, that's when you water again. And it's going to tell you that that is the frequency of which your soil is actually using or your tree is drinking the water that was applied. A soil probe goes down about 2 to 3 feet, depending on your soil, and that tells you when you water, if you watered enough. There's 2 different processes there, but you need them both.
Cool. All right. And number 3, yes, you guessed it, more woody mulch.
Yeah, keep doing it.
Woody mulch, add it and add it and add it and add it.
You're going to be replenishing it frequently, but it's
Yep.
cool.
Literally and figuratively. All right. So fertilizing. So we propose fertilizing 3 different ways. We propose fertilizing with granular fertilizer 4 times a year: Valentine's Day, Tax Day, Memorial Day, and Labor Day.
This is the most important fertilizer. Don't skip this fertilizer.
Yeah, if you can't do anything else, don't skip this one. You're going to use an organic fertilizer like BioFlora or Tank Super Mix. We carry both of them. And you're going to use 1 pound or 2.5 cups per 1 inch trunk diameter.
It's really not that much.
It's not. And this is what it looks like. So this was an apricot tree in the front yard of the urban farm, 4-inch diameter trunk. It would get 10 cups, 4 inches times 2.5 cups, 10 cups or 4 pounds 4 times a year.
Now, it's important when you are doing this, you're going to do it as close to the feeder roots as possible. So you're not putting 10 pounds of fertilizer up by the trunk. You're
Yes.
putting it out by the edge of the drip line, which is the section of the tree where the last of the leaves are. And that's called the drip line.
Yep. So this is a 4-inch tree, 4-inch tree trunk. You're going to use 4-inch trunk, 2.5 cups per inch, or 1 pound for a total of 4 pounds. So you can just do the math. It's super simple. I'm getting thumbs up from somebody. Yay. This is our BioFlora. We sell it in a 50-pound bag. You can't find BioFlora fertilizer in the nurseries. They generally don't sell it. This is a farm grade OMRI certified product, which means it's organic. And we literally buy it by the ton.
We are using our farm status to be able to get this, to be able to bring it to you.
Yeah. And we did something super special this year. We included this in our buy 3, get one free offer. So, and we've had multiple people take us up on this so far this year.
Yeah. So,
and then there's the Super Mix, which is a 10-pound bag. If for some reason you're not in our area, only use organic fertilizers. Non-organic fertilizers, remember, 5 components of healthy soil: dirt, airspace, water, organic matter, and everything that's alive in the soil, all the microorganisms. When you're using a non-organic fertilizer, it can burn those organisms and negatively impact the soil health. So
Yeah.
you definitely want to do that.
Now, one nice thing about Bioflora and Supermix is those are both locally made in Arizona. So
Yep.
we are we're not outsourcing out of state and having it dry up or anything. We're using locally made organic products that we just adore.
Yes, yes. All right. So if you have a basin around your tree, or if you have dogs, dogs will love to roll around in this stuff and eat it, and you don't want them to do that. You use the wedge method. Take a shovel, push the shovel all the way down, rock the shovel back and forth. The shovel goes down 8 or 10 or 12 inches. Pour the fertilizer in, and then cover it up. This will also get it past the woody mulch, and that
Now,
gets it down to the roots.
and you're doing this at the edge of where your tree roots are, so that that's where the tree roots are continuing to grow out. And the bigger your tree is, the more area you have to spread that bigger amount, because you're just going to go around in just little tiny wedges all around the tree.
Yeah. Um, at least 8 or 10 inches away from the tree trunk. And if you do that on a small tree, if you do that in 3 places around the tree, it does a little bit of root pruning and doesn't hurt the tree.
Yeah.
All right, liquid fertilizers. We talked about, you saw pictures about them earlier. With the drench feeding and the foliar feeding. Drench feeding, I'll talk about that. You can talk about the foliar feeding, Janice.
Okay.
But drench feeding is you take that liquid fertilizer, you put an ounce of it in a couple of gallons of water, and
Oops.
you drench it around just pour it on the root zone, around the root zone. And this is really good to do when it's this hot, when it's 115 degrees outside.
Now, foliar feeding is feeding or nutrient delivery through the leaves of the tree or the branches of the tree. And basically, during certain times of the year, not when it's freezing and not when it's over 85 to 90 degrees, you can spray nutrients directly on the leaves, and the tree will just soak it in. Rapid infusion of good nutrients. Select nutrients. You're not putting everything on there, you're just putting certain ones. And by doing this a couple of times a month, you can actually super boost your intake of the nutrients and the health of your tree. What we do recommend is that you avoid high temperatures, low temperatures or freezing temperatures, and flowers. Don't spray the flowers. Other than that, you should be good to go. There's a special times of the year with which nutrients we recommend. Sorry about that. And that'll work for you good.
Perfect. And feeding, this is the drench feeding and the foliar feeding and the secret sauces. This is the difference between your trees struggling in this heat and thriving. We've seen it over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And it builds the tree's immune system. All right, this is what so for foliar feeding, we have set up, what do we call these kits, Janice? The
sprayer mod kit.
sprayer mod kit. There we go. You take the old sprayer wand off of your pump sprayer and put the sprayer mod kit in place. I think they're $7 or $8 for this kit. And it makes all the difference in the world for the foliar feeding part. It helps so much. So we have the sprayer mod kits. We keep them in stock. All right, and then we have our fruit tree nutrition schedule. This is free in Root Camp. We do sell a laminated version. You want to share a little bit about this, Janice?
Yeah, our fruit tree nutrition schedule is a season-specific recipe to help you know which types of fertilizing to do, because there's the three kinds. There's drenching, there's the granular, and then there's the foliar. And it tells you which version for how much of which combination to use. And we've just, tried to create as simplified a plan for what could be complex as possible.
Cool. So, and this is part of our education. You can get a laminated copy if you like, and you can download them in our Root Camp program, which is our master course in growing fruit trees in the desert. All right, here's that one, 89 degrees under the plants, 140 with no ground cover. If I'm doing the math right, that's 51 degrees difference, Janice.
Well, when we went and did that in our yard and we had to come tell you about it, you didn't believe me at first.
Right, oh, that's right.
You were like, no, I got to go do this for myself. And you ran and grabbed your thermometer, and we were just doing that all over the space. It was recommended to us by one of our tree crew that this was happening. And it was confirmation that we had been doing it right.
Yeah. Donna says I'm hearing a weird noise in my
No,
headset.
no. I said to Donna.
Oh,
Donna
okay.
confirmed that she's not hearing it.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, perfect. Thank you. All right, so, and this is where the cowpeas, we give away cowpeas every season. When you come down to the lot, you can pick up a packet of cowpeas. You don't need many of them. And what'll happen is over the course of the next 2 or 3 years, they're going to start growing wild in your space. So we give those away, or sweet potatoes, organic sweet potatoes from the grocery store. Yes, Janice?
No, they're both edible. You can eat the cowpeas, you can eat the sweet potatoes, you can harvest from both, or you can just let them grow and stay there. Either way is your choice.
Yeah, exactly. All right, here's the deal. We absolutely hate it when your trees don't make it. So here's how our guarantee works. First of all, you plant per our directions. 40% native soil, 60% organic matter, Farmer Greg's planting mix, Urban Farm Starter Amendment Kit, organic fertilizer, plant at the right depth. 6-6 rule, don't skimp. Get a moisture meter or soil probe and use it. Water and fertilize per our directions. Document this process on your phone. Just take pictures of it. And the moment that your tree is having trouble, we want to hear from you.
We can still do something at that point.
Yeah, exactly. We can still do something. I get people, I had somebody this week said, 2 of my trees died. What kind of guarantee do you have? It's like,
You waited till now?
yeah, I need to hear from you the moment you see a problem. Even if it's a problem that I say, yeah, you know what, it's no big deal, which happens. But reach out to me. This is my full-time job, guys. And I take people's email me every day, 1 or 2 emails about trees. This is what I do. This is what I'm here for. So the moment there's a problem, 2 pictures, one of the affected area and one standing 8 feet back from the tree. Our goal is to make sure that we save the tree thrives. And quite honestly, how many trees did we replace this year, Janice?
3, 4?
And we sell about 3,000 fruit trees a year, guys. And we've
Yeah.
replaced 3 or 4 of them. Maybe with the new one that I had this week, we'll replace 5 or 6.
Okay.
There's success here. If you follow our directions, there's success. And we're here to back you up. So, and if for some reason the tree doesn't make it after following the planting process, we're willing on a case-by-case basis to split the cost of a tree with you next year. Why do we split the cost of the tree? Because we are doing everything that we know how to have your trees thrive.
And why case by case? Because if we can
Exactly.
tell that you're not following the instructions, if you've planted a tree in a big hot corner full of gravel, we're gonna maybe not be so supportive.
That's why we do free education. So
Yeah.
So we'll split the cost of a tree with you next year. And like I said, we're probably up to 4 or 5 this year. So this works. What we're doing
Yeah.
works. I planted my first fruit trees in the desert at 28th Street and Indian School in Phoenix, Arizona in 1975. I've been growing them since then. I've experienced all the things. I've killed fruit trees. I've had them thrive. We know what we're doing here, and we give this education away for free.
And I love soil science, and I love the biology that's happening with trees, and that's where all my knowledge is coming from.
Amen to that. And like I said, you benefit from our successes and failures. All right, here's how our program works. We do lots and lots of education. If we, I don't know where my brain was going to go there in a minute ago. All of our classes are free. We've had two classes in our launch this year, which you can get recordings of. We have
This
three
makes
more.
number 3.
This is class number 3. We have 3 more for the next 3 weeks. And then you pre-order your trees. And we're running up close on citrus. We have a very limited supply of citrus trees left. Our order's gone in and we ordered a few extras. So you can check our shopping cart to see what we have on the citrus. The pop-up nursery will be open, like we said earlier, the last weekend of September, first weekend of October. And then the deciduous trees will be coming in early January and will be open the last 3 weekends in a pop-up nursery.
Yep.
And then we'll do 2 more. Usually we do 1 day in March and 1 day in April where you can come and get supplies and fertilizers and that kind of stuff.
Depending on the year and the season.
Yeah, exactly. All right, what we supply: trees and plants, fruit trees and fruiting plants, organic fertilizers, soil supplements, irrigation supplies, and lots of help. You can come and visit us on the fruit tree lot. We've got lots of experienced help. There's Janis and Ray and Jordan and Chris and who else?
Well, we've got
Elise,
Angie helping calculate at the calculation table. And we've got a couple other new true members that have been there just long enough to be able to get the certification, I guess, being the longer tree crew.
Yeah. And I want to do a shout out to Elise. This was a brilliant idea. I don't know who came up with this, Janis, but I sure somebody brilliant on our team, Janis, came up with this idea. Janis, you put Elise at a table to solely Angie, I'm sorry. You put Angie at the table to solely talk about the supplies that people need for their trees.
Calculate, yeah.
So when you come onto the lot, you can see Angie and she will help you calculate the supplies that you need. Here's the thing. I've been saying this for years. You will spend at least as much on soil, mulch, and supplements the first year as you do the tree. So just know that. If you spend $70 on a tree, you're going to spend $70 on supplements and soils and mulch to make it thrive.
So on lot, we've got people for different reasons. Jordan is there to help with variety information and helping make sure that the tree crew are getting you your right trees. Angie is there to help calculate your supplies. Raymond is there to help you figure out if you have questions about what the supplies are, which supplies you might need if you're having some kind of question on, you have a special situation, and I'm there to kind of help in everywhere. Catherine is there to help take care of your cashiering needs, and Tammy is going to be there to help make sure you get in the gate and get your right paperwork.
There you go.
And then we got a bunch of others.
And we purposely schedule appointments into
Just spread out
slots.
the load.
Before COVID, we would just say we're open and we'd have people waiting 2 or 3 hours for their trees. With COVID, we had to pivot a little bit. We put scheduling in place, so in 15-minute slots, and man, it runs sweet. It just we get people in and out. If you haven't purchased any trees and just need to come and get supplies, grab a slot and you can come down during that time.
Yes. Now, for those of you who are hanging in there and have limited time, we have just a little bit more, and then we're going to try answering some questions.
Yeah. All right, cool. Need some help? I do garden consults, urbanfarm.org/consults. Check them out. Here's our early bird season. This is our best pricing, best selection. Our citrus early bird season is over, but we did order some extra citrus trees, and the deciduous early bird season is until October 31st.
Yeah.
And that includes bundles, so you can still get the bundles on the deciduous trees. And our deciduous program was started in 1999, and it includes peaches, apricots, plums, apples, pomegranates, all trees that do really well in the desert. Our citrus program went live in 2004. Hey, there's the ultimate goal, get fruit.
Get fruit.
All right.
All right, you ready to answer some questions? Let's try to do as many as we can.
Let's get these done.
Do cow peas attract rats? Robert asks.
No.
No.
Not
Jack says, how many layers of tree wrap is sufficient for young trees? One layer. You're just going to layer it around up and just maybe with a slight overlap.
Here's the problem with tree wrap. While it shades the trunk of the tree, it doesn't keep bugs out. The IV Organics product, which I learned about this kind of tree paste, 22 years ago.
You learned about poo paint. It's not the same. This is a good replacement.
There you go.
Affordable.
And poo paint it's a tree paste, and it goes right on the tree. So
now the next question from Kat Karpinen says, when you talk about adding the paste to the trunk, is this just for the younger tree? No. Citrus all their life are going to have a thin trunk, and you can benefit for any part of the trunk that is exposed to the sun. The younger trees have much more exposure than the older trees because the older trees are building out their canopy. So this is going to be good on all trees when they're young because they have so much more exposure than the older trees. But all trees, all of our fruit trees can benefit by having this on the exposed trunk and limbs.
Yeah, plus for stone fruit, it keeps the bugs out.
And Craig says, how far up the tree would you paint the paste? As far as the sun is reaching.
Yep, for sure.
Jack says, when you infuse the soil around the tree with earthworms, how deep do you place them to survive? And is there any place in the valley to buy healthy worms? Yes, there is. Go ahead.
Yeah, Arizona Worm Farm, you can get worms at Arizona Worm Farm. But quite honestly, the worm castings, the worm poop has worm eggs in it. If you just use worm castings, the worms will show up fresh. Yeah.
Fresh worm casting.
Yeah.
Carrie says, how much dirt do we want on top of the roots?
1/4 inch. Not much.
Not much. I would say a little more than 1/4 inch sometimes because that can be blown away, but just a light covering. Oh, wait. On the roots that are right next to the tree, the top roots, you only want a little bit, but the rest of the roots you definitely want covered. It's just the very top roots we're talking about.
Robert says, I have used trailing lantana for ground cover, which greatly reduces the temperature of the mulch. There you go. Here's the important thing, Robert and everybody. You want to use a ground cover that is on the same watering schedule as your fruit trees. If you put flowers that need to be watered every 2 or 3 days, or watermelons that need to be watered every 2 or 3 days, that's too much water.
Your trees.
For the trees, you need to plant something that gets on the same watering schedule. So yeah.
All right. Somebody says, are ground covers seasonal? They can be.
They can be, absolutely.
Both the sweet potatoes and the cowpeas are, yeah.
Yep, and they die out every season.
All right. I'm looking for any more ground cover questions. Nancy says, I'm buying 3 trees, so this solution will work for all 3 trees. Nancy, if you're buying bare root trees, then yes, you can soak all 3 bare root trees in the root soak, and then you can divide that water up among the 3 trees.
Donna says, I have a mesquite on the south side of the lemon tree, and the shade from the mesquite has helped the lemon tree from the extreme hot sun. Awesome. That's what we're
Nice.
talking about.
Carrie asks, what is the ratio for drench feeding? Now, if you are drench feeding with the heart, then what you're going to do is 1 to 3 ounces, depending on the size of your tree. And you can actually just go pour that 1 ounce around in the feeder zone area and then deep water. And that's going to be really easy.
This is a real interesting question. Vera says, I'm planning on keeping my trees under 9 feet tall. I kind of feel like this is a lot of nutrients for a small tree. It's absolutely not. Here's the thing. Fruit trees, all the plants, they need to eat every day. If you're, I just talking to somebody the other day, they were fertilizing 3 times a year with granular feed and their trees were dying. We need to set the trees up for success, and we do that by making sure that we get them enough nutrition.
Liam says, unfortunately, I've done exactly the wrong thing with planting my citrus. Should I try to dig some of the dirt out around the tree to replace with organic mix, or should I just mulch and fertilize? It depends. And Liam, because of your situation, I would say email Greg and let him see it. Because it could
Yeah,
be, there's so much that could be going on there.
yeah,
I'm right now thinking about 4 answers.
stand 10 feet back. Now we do have a video how to repair a broken basin on YouTube. If you send me, maybe we can find that real quick before we get off, Janice, but if you send me an email, fruittree@urbanfarm.org, I can send you that video. It's about a 10-minute video that we made a few years ago on how to fix it. And I think
Yeah,
somebody,
Liam.
I think somebody else asked about that too. If you've planted your tree and it doesn't have a basin, you can,
Keith and Sue said, I planted a peach tree several years ago and it's doing pretty good, but I didn't know and I planted it in the ground in a bowl. How can I correct this if needed?
yeah,
How
my
big of a
tree basin
bowl?
fix,
Yeah, that's a good place to start, but
and send me a
also
picture.
how bad of a bowl is it?
Yeah,
At this point, if we're trying to fix something, we might have to take a look at it with a picture. In
yeah,
fact, I would say
picture's
that's definitely right.
always good.
Liam said he planted it just a little while ago, early this summer. And we might be able to do something. All right.
Okay,
Definitely a one-on-one conversation with you and Greg on that.
yeah.
And
Vera,
he's willing to do that.
Vera, right, that's right. Vera wants to know, what's the typical canopy size? Does it depend on the type of citrus? No, it depends on how big you want it to be. I've seen citrus that are 25 feet tall and 20-foot diameter. If you want a tree that size, you can do that, but they can also be 8-foot diameter, 6-foot diameter, and 8 feet tall, 6 feet
You
tall.
really have a lot of control over what the size of your tree is, height and width.
Yep.
Lauren says we planted 3 peach trees we grew from pits. Does most of your
Oh,
advice still apply for a pit planted tree?
yep.
Wait, Lauren, are they
Absolutely.
producing more fruit?
Yeah, where are
And
you,
where are
Lauren? And
you?
are they making fruit yet?
Because here's
Um,
why we ask. Peaches are here locally are grown on on a different rootstock than the actual fruit itself. And so they don't always survive if you're growing it locally from a peach pit. We're just wondering. Now you got us intrigued.
yeah,
Craig says, will regular bark work okay as a woody mulch?
yeah, you got
Yeah,
it.
there's a lot of things that'll do that.
Keith and Sue say, when picking up our fruit trees, is there anything special we need to do to protect them from the wind in the back of the truck? Bring a tarp? Yes, Janice?
For citrus and deciduous, it's different. Go ahead.
Yeah, for citrus for sure. Bring a tarp and we'll help you tarp it.
A cloth tarp is great, like a sheet or something else, because that will help protect it from the most of the wind blowing all your leaves off.
Yeah.
Don't, I will do it, but I don't recommend plastic or anything like that because it traps the heat.
Lauren says they've only been in the ground 1 year, flowers and 2 peaches on one, but the sun killed them. That's not surprising. The first year, that's nothing to panic about. And the other two uh, seem to be growing feral-like. Lauren, I would love to see pictures of them.
And where are you? Yeah, so many
And
questions.
yeah, the fruit and like that.
We'd love to see pictures. Love to see pictures.
Mandy, can you add the amendments to an already planted tree? Yep, that's my tree basin fix video. Why don't you talk for a minute and let me see if I can go grab that and drop it in
All
the
right.
chat box, Janice.
Starter amendments, the mycorrhiza, the worm castings, and the azomite are portioned out specifically for planting. But if you have a larger tree that is struggling or having some issues, you can use the starter amendments just as they are for one tree. You can put that in the basin to help boost it. You don't need as much mycorrhiza for an established tree that you do for a new tree. So I would probably half that and keep the rest for your other stuff. But starter amendments are good because they are things that we recommend to continue fertilizing, except for the
Yeah,
mycorrhiza. The mycorrhiza is going to be something that is going to continue to grow in the soil as the tree roots interact with the soil. So once you've put mycorrhiza in the soil, you don't need to redo it unless you have soil that is been incompatible for growth. You don't have a good healthy soil, then you're going to want to add the mycorrhiza. But if you have basically healthy soil, maybe you didn't water it enough, or maybe the tree's just struggling a little bit, you can do just fine with the azomite and the worm castings and maybe a pinch of mycorrhiza. Mycorrhiza
Carrie's,
is expensive. That's why I say that.
Carrie says, I have high winds during the summer months. Any special recommendations? Janice? Hi,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, there's a few things. We got staking, we've got windbreaks, we've got a few things that we can talk about. We've got, oh yeah, this protects against windburn too.
yes, it does.
So
And that we've got a spray-on version that you can either mix yourself. Um, yeah,
yeah, there's a few things. Carrie, you can send me an email and I'll go further in depth on that one.
yeah. All right, let's wrap
Uh,
this up.
I'm trying. We got good questions here.
I know, I know, I know. Um,
Lauren, send it to Greg at urbanfarm.org
yes,
or
and
fruittree at urbanfarm.org so I can see it too.
yeah, both of them will go to me. Um, Mandy says,
Vera,
can you add amendments to an already planted
I just
tree?
did that one.
I know, but I wanted to point out I just put the basin
Oh,
fix video in the chat box,
yes.
so you can
The
click on
basin
through there.
fix video for the replay of this, the basin fix video is part of Greg's YouTube. It'll probably be on the same channel if you're looking at somewhere else.
Yeah,
Um, Vera, can you fit your 3 citrus trees in an SUV? It depends on what size citrus trees you got and how much soil you're getting and how big your SUV is. Most likely, but then sometimes no.
yeah. You can send me a question and I can.
Because if you got 3 big 15 gallons, then maybe. All right, we wrapping it up. We got some more questions. Folks, the questions are still coming in. We love helping you, but it is almost 7:15 here in Phoenix. It's what, 10:15 there where you are, Greg?
Yep.
Yeah. So we're gonna call it a night and thank you so, so much. Join us for our next week's class, which is
Good
what's next week's
question.
class?
What
It's
is it? Oh,
supplies. It's
supplies. What
supplies, right?
supplies do I need? Yeah,
What
just in
supplies do you
time for
need?
our nursery to be open the following weekend.
Yep, and we'll talk about our new stuff that we have. We'll talk about all those supplies. And if you ask some of those questions, we can ask them there too. So
Thanks,
thank
guys.
y'all.
Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Bye.